We're talking about the greatest wrestling company in the entire world, AEW. That's kind of where we're at.
Was that sarcasm or you mean you mean it?
That's Ernie Ladd.
You just popped me 30 seconds in, man. Come on.
That was some Ernie Ladd. Jimmy, why have I lied to you? Why have I lied to you? No,
Monday.
I really did enjoy the beginning of the show. I did enjoy. I really liked the segment that they opened up with this Jake Roberts is given no fucks on how he feels. The insults, telling Brandy to stay home and clean up and wipe ass, and every now and then warm me up, and just putting over Lance Archer, and then Cody coming out like the like the vengeful husband, coming to kick somebody's ass. So I thought it was a great opening. I thought it was great. There was just before you guys give your opinions, I just wanted to say I just found one little flaw in that entire segment, and it had nothing to do with them. It had to do with the fact that I saw MJF in the crowd, like part of the wrestlers, so around the ring. Now the reason why I didn't like that was because MJF is being position as kind of like the top heel in the company, right? Because of, the way he's acting, his promos and everything that's going on. He's being considered like, the fucking, the second course of the Last Supper. They're really putting this guy over, and well deserved, because, I've seen his promos. I just recently saw his matches. The guy can give it all. I just feel with the guys around the ring, those should be positioned for like lower card guys, jobbers, ham and eggers, guys who would just go in and have like a 5-7 minute match, put the big stars over and keep going. Guys like, with all respect to Cole Cabana, to Sean Spears, to Marco Stunt, to Jelly Janela. Like all these guys, with all respect to them, but these guys are lower card guys. These guys are not mid card guys. They sure as hell aren't top guys. So I just kind of had an issue seeing MJF there. I was like, why is he there? He should be more protected. He should be treated kind of like royalty. It's almost like Ric Flair in his prime, opening up a show and being in a battle royal. Like, that made no sense at all. But other than that, the opening segment was pretty good. I thought Cody just talk about showing rage, man. Fucking guy, man. Oh, excuse my language. This freaking guy can go.
You're allowed to curse, Julio. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So yeah. What are your guys' thoughts? I thought it was a great opening segment. Aside from the fact when I saw MJF in the crowd, I was like, "What are you guys doing?"
I get your point about MJF being in the crowd. I can dig it. The segment, I enjoyed the segment. I enjoy everything Cody does, really.
It was great.
It's just something. He has so much fire. Like, that guy is like that emotion that he always shows is like crazy. I kind of didn't like that. I like that he showed his truck. That's a fire truck. But right, I don't like that they just he kind of drove up a little bit and just kind of hit the little barricade. I would have moved the barricade, let him drive all the way up to the fucking ring if possible. Not to hit anybody, but just to drive up and,
kind of like a Steve Austin shit.
Yeah, because it's like, or make that, if you're going to hit that barricade, like, don't stall, don't rev nothing. Just show him coming from wherever he's coming from, drive straight to the arena, run into the barricade, go, fuck, get out the car, slam the door, and go chase after Archer.
Or what I like what they did, just have Archer just come to him and just brawling. Like, I was fine with either way.
Yeah, I mean, I like the brawl. But when it comes to Jake, I like that Jake gives 0 Fs. He doesn't care about people on Twitter complaining that you shouldn't speak like this.
Well, you know what?
It's not a good example.
For everybody on Twitter.
Yeah, me too. Because
man, that was great.
If a villain in a movie or in a television series in a drama is allowed to rape and murder, Jake the Snake should be able to say some
wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah, you should be. I mean, we're not gonna see rape and murder in wrestling, but you should be able to say some bad shit as a villain. You should be able to, say some nasty things to get some heat.
Thank you.
And especially Jake Roberts might actually feel that way. He's old school. Yeah, it's very believable, and he knows it's gonna, get a little.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I like the fact that they got him with Archer, because our Archer kind of needs like a mouthpiece right now. But
yeah, he absolutely needs a mouthpiece. If you have Jake at your disposal, why not use him? I have people are like, oh, Jake's gonna outshine Archer. No, he's not.
No, he's not.
All that heat. Archer's the one who has to get in the ring.
Yeah.
Roberts could get his, and it'll be funny. Just like Heenan used to get his little butt whippings, and Cornette used to get his butt whippings.
Paul Heyman.
And Paul Heyman, when CM Punk attacked Paul Heyman, there's nothing wrong with a manager getting beat up every once in a while. But Archer's gonna have to deal with every time this guy opens his mouth. Archer has to settle it for him, and that's fine. But besides that opening segment, that's all I have on that.
Yeah, I mean, the opening segment as a whole was okay. Obviously with Jake Roberts' promos are always great. And yes, it's totally fine for a heel to try to get heel heat. Now, of course, the language that he's using, is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way in real life. But at the same time, that's kind of the good kind of heat in professional wrestling, good old school heat in pro wrestling. Obviously, the only thing that I wish that Archer would stop doing is stop beating people up in the back as he goes to the ring, because you can easily, as the announcers, you can easily say that's assault, and he'll get arrested because it's not his, those people are not his opponents, But whatever, that's just a nitpicking thing for me. When Cody came out, obviously when I saw the truck, I just laughed because I was like, "Yep, good product placement." You want to put that on the show. I don't think
that's his real truck.
Yeah, I'm sure, but it's a matter of when it showed it. I'm not sure if it showed the maker of the truck, because I wasn't paying attention to it. I was only fixated on the logo on the front. And when Cody came to the ring, I was like,
I didn't notice that. By
the way. my exact notes was, Cody thinks he's Steve Austin. That's cool, but why is he wearing slacks and a dress shirt to fight?
He's an office guy.
Well, if you
know that you're showing up for a fight, why are you dressing so GQ? Like, that's the only thing that got me. I laughed a little bit when I saw that, because I just thought to myself, I was like,
dress code.
Lou, Lou, in real life, you probably, if you knew you were gonna get into a scrap, you'd probably dress
like that.
You would probably dress more comfortable.
And
however, Cody has never not worn a suit.
Understood.
No.
Listen, you're totally right about that. But at the same time, for a situation like this, once you see him come out of the truck and you see the way that he's dressed, then it already gives the viewer a direct IQ to say this is different. When Cody's dressed the way he was, he still looked like executive Cody, even though you're right, he's always, when he's not wrestling, he's always dressing to the nines. This is a moment where I was like, jeans and a t-shirt would have been just fine. Get in there, because you're gonna get into a fight. To me, I kind of laughed when I saw that, because I was like, damn, I ain't gonna dress like that if I'm gonna get into a fight.
Hey baby, Superman always wears his cape.
Well, right. Okay, if you say so. The one thing that I will point out that I thought was really, really great during that whole segment was when Archer and Cody started fighting, that Jake Roberts was actually, like the on-air commentary he was doing. That was outstanding. He was talking. I loved it. The only one thing that I will say for pro wrestling in general, when they do these fights, I noticed that they had a steel chair that was literally sitting propped up by the steps, and I was just like, there's like 100 other ways you can get that chair. You don't need it to be propped there for the wrestlers to go get it. It's just, I saw that and I was like, eh. But Jake's commentary was. It was just Awesome. I loved
great.
it. I loved
Yeah.
it. It was great.
That was good.
Oh, and also when Archer got took the bump that he didn't roll out of the ring. He was clearly caught by the ropes. I just found it kind of silly as to why Cody stopped fighting. I understand that was the moment when they were supposed to stop, but you'd figure that the other wrestlers would want to jump in and break up the fight. Because if I'm Cody Rhodes, and again, these two guys put their hands on my wife, is like you're gonna have to separate me from this guy. And knowing that the entire crowd were wrestlers, I understand that there's some limitations to it, but you could have probably had a scrap, had them fight a little bit, and you got to get at least a few people to try to separate it.
I agree.
Understood the situations that are in, but that was just something that looked a little odd to me when they did it.
Understand. All right. So the opening match was the Jurassic Park versus the Mejor Amigos.
Whoa!
Jurassic Express.
Jurassic Express, not the
I
Jurassic
was waiting
Park.
for you
Hold on
guys.
there,
I was waiting for you guys.
You're gonna get them sued, Julio.
Whoa, easy there, pal.
Yeah.
Easy.
That's copyright.
No. Yeah. This really good match. Just nonstop action. Just I guess what you would expect of these teams. Right now, I gotta be honest, man. The AEW tag team division is stacked right now, man. I don't know. I kind of see these the best friend tag team. They're really like building momentum right now. So it's only a matter of time before they get a shot at Kenny and the returning Hangman Page whenever he fucking decides to return. Am I right?
I think,
Hangman?
yeah,
Right?
Hangman, yeah. I think they'll all be back for the pay-per-view.
Yeah. No, I kind of see that. That's trying to happen at the pay-per-view. I did enjoy also MJF's
His assault.
little run-in, like on Jungle Boy.
Mhm.
He just rammed his fucking head like right into the post and knocked the poor kid out. But what's even more scarier was the fact that when Felix came and just did a Mortal Kombat
It did look like a Mortal Kombat
kick to Orange Cassidy. I literally thought that I said, "Oh my God, this guy caught. He's got to concuss. He has to be concussed because he hit him really, really hard." I put that shit on slow mo like 6 times, and there was no way that that freshly squeezed could have freaking sell that crap. But other than that, no, I thought it was a great match. It was entertaining. It was back and forth, and I think the right team won. I think Best Friends they're building momentum and hopefully get a shot at those tag team titles.
Yeah, I think when they didn't have the entire roster, I think they made the decision we're gonna go with Best Friends next.
Yeah.
Just to have a challenger ready. They're not gonna win those titles because that story is not told yet between Hangman and Kenny. So, but it's good to have a challenger ready. Let them have their chance. I liked MJF getting involved just to add some heat to their match coming up with Jungle Boy. I did think Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus were a little off. They had like an off day. Like they were making a few mistakes. Like they had a little, I don't know. Like, did you notice this? They didn't feel a little off to you?
No, I didn't. I mean, I thought the match was just back and forth action. I did not catch that, even though I did caught something on the next match, and I'll tell that about.
Okay.
I'll tell about that. But no, I didn't notice.
Yeah, there were a few spots that looked super like they really, really hurt. The Phoenix kick, was it Marco? Marco took a hard hit.
I think it was Marco's son.
Grabbed him.
Oh, Wardlow grabbed him up and hit him
Oh.
up, hit him pretty hard. And the funniest one, Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara has found a way to get over by being the guy who gets his ass destroyed. The big super kick from Matt Jackson just killed him. Getting ran over by the cart killed him. And now he got killed again. He looked crazy. That kid looks, he knows how to look like he's being murdered.
Yeah, no, you're right.
That's how he earned.
Sammy's he's got my respect, man. I like that kid a lot. I really do like him. He's very entertaining.
This match was weird because, obviously with AEW, when they present these two teams, obviously they're two of the more popular teams on the roster. So it's difficult because when you have anytime you have a babyface versus babyface match, especially this one that's really cold, there's no story, there's nothing going into it. You're really in a lot of trouble to begin with because it's kind of difficult to tell the story. You don't want any of the teams cheating. You don't want anybody healing. So that's obviously where, with the MJF spot, that was totally fine because he's moving along his story with Jungle Boy. It made sense. To have Wardlow take down Marco Stunt is perfectly fine too. Wardlow's MJF's muscle, that makes sense. I thought that Luchasaurus looked like a punk for not boning up and having a confrontation with Wardlow. I'm sure that'll come, soon enough, but you figure that would be a moment for that to happen. The Rey Fenix spot, I didn't understand why Phoenix even got involved in the match. Unless there's an issue between, the Best Friends and the Lucha Brothers that I've missed. I just saw that and I was like, I understood in the context of the match why they needed to do that because you needed to have heels to kind of disrupt the flow of the match. But I didn't understand why he was there. I just thought it was like, okay, that's just a spot to kind of get something going, but I don't understand the story to that. Again, there's a lot of action and everything, but the one thing about, and this is tag team wrestling in general, this is not an AEW specific thing, this is everywhere. Too many simultaneous tags, which I don't like because it doesn't really, it gives nothing for the hot tag. Really, neither one of these teams got a real set of heat on anybody else, meaning it was a fairly 50-50 match throughout the whole time. There was never a point where any one guy in the match was vulnerable, and sometimes in the flow of a tag team match, you want to be able to have that be part of in order to tell a story. And I understand they're two babyface teams. It's not like one team has to cheat, but it's just a matter of one guy makes a mistake and he goes down and he stays down for a while, and then you can tell that story. And it never really happened. And overall, like I said, I didn't think it was. I think it was a nice way to get a nice way for AEW the way they booked the finish. It was a nice way to get out of a babyface versus babyface match without having to heal any one of the two teams, because obviously with the Best Friends wrestling against Private Party for the #1 contendership, it's pretty consistent with what Victor was saying, is that the Best Friends look to be the next team that are going to be competing for the tag team titles. So Best Friends winning this match, under the circumstances they won, that's totally fine, because now they're not getting any of the heat. All that heat is on Phoenix and on MJF. So that's totally fine. And I'm sure that in the pay-per-view they'll be Private Party and they'll go on next to the titles. So that's something there. Just to be mindful of. I didn't really like the match that much because I thought that there were some elements missing. It's just guys doing moves to each other. But obviously the ending sequence was probably the best thing they could have done to get themselves out of what was a very sticky situation for them, to try to get like somebody to have a clean finish, because I don't think AEW wants either one of these teams to lose flat. And and in a situation like that, my suggestion would be is don't book the match. But under those circumstances, they did the best they could.
Great. All right. Next match. Yes, it was the Fatal 4-Way, the women's Fatal 4-Way with. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna butcher her name. Hikaru
Shida.
Hikaru Shida getting the win. This match was pretty exciting for a women's match. A lot of back and forth. They kind of started slow. What the hell?
That was sexist.
Stop it.
That was damn it, man! I lost my train of thought. Yeah, no, you know, it kind of started off a little slow, and then it got a little exciting. Obviously, the right girl won, but you know, at the end of the day, they're all winners. There was this one spot in the match I kind of thought it was kind of comical. Was right after the doctor did the you know, her version of the Canadian Destroyer. I forgot the name of the blonde girl. They were kind of like, yeah. And there was a part that I really don't know. I don't know if she was supposed to grab her or pull the other girl out of the ring, but Britt Baker was just like a deer in the headlights. She was just lost for that one split second. It was after she did the Canadian Destroyer. She was trying to roll out the ring or maybe pull her or whatever. But there was like a miscommunication where, you know, she just went around and kind of like circles and Britt is just like going on around like, all right, what the heck am I doing? She kind of was like a deer in the headlights. I thought it was pretty comical, but aside from that, I thought this match was good, and not because it's a women's match. I apologize.
Yeah, see, this was probably my least favorite AEW episode of 2020 because you guys didn't notice it, but for me, Jungle Boy felt a little off, and the girls felt a little off. Britt was a little off. She's had bad moments in matches before, but
Let me tell you, man,
been getting better.
Britt Baker is getting over, man.
No,
the girl is being a chicken shit.
Her character is getting
character work
is chicken shit bitch, man, and it's working.
Every week she gets a little bit better. I know she's asking all the veterans. I know she's asking Jericho and Cody, hey, give me some pointers. Whatever pointer she's getting, she's taking that. She's running with it. She's doing a great job.
Yeah.
I really like what she's doing, you know, but just, you know, it's funny because Becky's similar. Sometimes Becky has weird moments in matches. Her character is really strong, so it's okay that Britt has these moments. The match is ruined after that for me, so that sucks. But I think Britt, you put her one-on-one. Let's have more one-on-one with Britt until she gets better.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Like all these girls will do good in single stars. At single stars, I really believe and feel.
Yeah. Penelope too has weird moments in matches. So when you have Britt and Penelope, it's gonna be, you might have some weird moments.
Yeah.
So this was my least favorite episode because the first match was a little off, second match was a little off, and it kind of took me out of it. Yeah.
No, this match was a cluster. It's just that, you know, if you wanna summarize this in one word, that's exactly what it was. This is a match that, again, you know, I remember when I put down the notes when I first heard this match was being announced, I was like, I don't know why they're having this match. You know, this is a match where obviously Hikaru Shida is clearly the number one contender. That's how they've been pushing her. There's no need for her to work against, you know, the number 2, the number 3, and I guess Penelope Ford is unranked. And again, I'm not sure why she was in this match other than to fill out the Fatal 4-Way. But the way that this match was laid out, it looked more like a tornado tag team match in the beginning. It felt like it was Shida and Statlander versus Penelope Ford and Britt Baker. It's just the way the match was set up because you have 2 heels and 2 baby faces. You know, obviously, you know, with Julio, when you were talking about that moment where Britt Baker kind of got lost, you know, that was clear. And I think that it wasn't only Britt Baker. I think it was Chris Statlander too.
Yeah. I was saying both of them. Yeah, they were both kind of were lost, but Britt Baker looked more like a deer in the headlights because I think she kind of like lost the spot. She was like, oh shoot, we were supposed to go into this.
And that's the thing about
that's an honest mistake.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's the thing about a match like this is that when you have 4 people that clearly are green, you know, because probably Shida's the most experienced of the 4. You know, obviously it's going to be a cluster. You're going to have a lot of mistakes, and it's going to look the way it did. I thought the match was too long because after a certain point, it's just like, you know, after a certain point in the match, you could clearly tell, just like, okay, you've taken us as high as you're going to take us. They did some of the good wrestling. They did the outside of the ring stuff, which again a bit too much. Then they go and start doing the unfortunate thing that happens in all of these multi-person matches, no matter where they go. Everybody hits their finisher on everybody else, and nobody gets beat by it. So that just has to stop. We need to find a more creative way to have that happen. And then you have Sheeta. Sheeta beats Penelope Ford, and then again, I just thought to myself, like, if Britt Baker knows that if she wins this match, she could be next in line, why does she hit her finish on Chris Statlander on the floor?
Yeah.
Like, why did she do that on the outside of the ring? Like, Britt Baker has always.
Yeah, I remember that spot. I did see that spot.
Britt Baker was always presented as the doctor, intelligent woman, the whole thing. I'm like, you think that she'd be smart enough that she'll save that, because it's not like it happened after the match was over and she was just like, you know what, Statlander cost me the match, so now I'm going to put this move on her. She did it in the process of the match, and I just looked at that and I just shook my head. I was like, no, that's the reason. I just looked at this match and I'm like, I understand you want to feature all of these female talents. You want to give them, a shine and a spotlight. This was a cluster. It wasn't very good. The spot where Penelope Ford started making out with Kip Sabian, as soon as I saw that, it basically devalued everything that she did throughout the entire course of the match. Penelope Ford is smoking hot. She grabs your attention as soon as she comes on the camera. She's not. Her stuff is more gymnastics than it is wrestling, but that's fine. That might be her background, but
it is.
And I saw that and I was like, okay, all her work seems to be gymnastics, because throughout the course of the match, all the spots that she was doing was like, okay, she's picking her spot, but all her spots are like some gymnastics related thing. So really, it's like I said, the right person won. I think the only person who really got over is, I think the only person that really got over in this match was Britt Baker, but for all the wrong reasons, because she put her move on Statlander on the floor. Because I don't think that Statlander got over. I don't think Sheeta got over, and I don't think that Penelope Ford got over as strongly as they could have if the match was laid out differently. So
the next match is the tag team match between the Legends and Santana and Ortiz. Hardy and Omega gets this match. I don't know. I don't know how long have these guys has been out? Like Santana and Ortiz, because they've been out like a week or so.
No, they were out for a long time.
They were out for a while, right? Yeah. So it was nice to see that these guys look strong in that match. I mean they really did against two recognizable stars in Hardy and Omega. They made them look real strong in a losing effort, and I kind of thought that was the right thing to do, because what all that does is make the Inner Circle even more powerful, because they are the top heels in the entire company right now. But yeah, other than that, it was a very good match. Omega, again, I've said it before, the guy can make, as they say in the wrestling business, can make a broomstick look good. That's how good this guy is, and I appreciate him a lot. Hardy, obviously, Matt Hardy being Matt Hardy. I did also like the ending of the match when Sammy Guevara came out again, with the neck brace and the limp. I just got like a big good laugh at it, because again, like I said, Sammy Guevara can really do some amazing comedy things, and he's learning from Jericho. He kind of reminds me a lot of Eddie Guerrero in that sense. The guy can really pull off the comedy if you give him that opportunity. But yeah, no, I thought this match was good, and the right guys won, because eventually the best friends are going to be the one who's going to take those titles off of Omega and the returning Hangman.
Yeah, I mean, I like this match. Like Julio said, to me, Sammy Guevara came out and stole the show for me.
This fucking guy, man.
He's funny. I don't know, man. He makes me laugh. He really does.
He's great. He really is. Yeah.
He's getting destroyed. Every other week, he gets his ass kicked, and the fans love it. He's found his role in the company. This is a guy who every week can come out, get his ass kicked, and people are like, happy about that. Like he makes the fans happy because he's getting his ass kicked. He's so cocky. He's so damn arrogant. Then he comes out and he gets his ass not just kicked. He takes the worst like punishment. Like he gets destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Once a month, he gets destroyed at least
And
once.
he gets applaud for that.
I applaud him.
He will get applaud. I applaud him too. He's great. He's one of my favorites in AEW. No. And I'm being serious, man.
No,
I
Lou.
love this kid so much. I don't care what that guy says. That down there guy.
Louis is like so upset. You know what?
Doesn't matter
Go
what he
ahead.
says.
Go ahead, Lou.
It doesn't matter.
Say your part, Lou.
All right, Lou, it's your turn, man. Go ahead, Stephen A. Smith.
I will say this about this match. If there's any one positive that I really liked about this match is that both teams did try hard in terms of keeping this somewhat of a conventional tag team match. They were tagging in and out. They were getting out of the ring before the referees count of 10. They were playing within the rules that AEW constructs for their tag team matches. So that's a positive. However, there's a lot of things about this match that I did not like. Now, when Santana and Ortiz come out, immediately Santana looks like a star. Ortiz looks goofy. Immediately, as soon as they both come out.
But
now,
they kept them strong in this match. You gotta agree.
Well, listen, Kenny Omega comes out. Santana and Ortiz do exactly the right thing. They run out and they double team him because Omega came out by himself. So why not?
Well, that's tag team wrestling, man. You always say that.
Absolutely, 2 against 1. Now, here's the thing. Where's Matt Hardy? If you know that your partner's getting jumped, but now we have to wait for your music to play. They've already beaten up Omega some. They threw him in the ring.
He was in the moon, I think.
Matt Hardy comes out. Santana goes out after him, which again is the right thing to do. For that team is the right thing to do. Matt Hardy clearly gets the upper hand on him when he's biting his hand and his boot and his nose and his ears and everything else, right? And then Kenny Omega is laying in the ring selling, and Ortiz is standing there looking like, I don't know what to do. Puto, you do the same thing you did when Omega came out. You go and you help your
Yes.
2 against 1. That doesn't happen. So I was like, okay. I was like, damn, this is goofy, right? And I loved that JR did this. God bless you, Jim Ross, for doing this. When Ortiz does his Tiger Claw thing, I could see like JR.
Didn't he say that that's like a Matt Hardy thing or something like that?
JR said in commentary, he's just like, you know what? Does that win you matches? No, so stop doing it. And I was like, oh, God bless you, Jim Ross. Thank you very much. God
a little
bless
Bobby Heenan there, man.
Hey,
yeah, but
That was Bobby Heenan right there. That was a little bit,
real
sprinkle
quick.
Bobby Heenan.
Real quick, that JR line is fine. That's totally fine because he's kind of poking fun at the heel. It doesn't take away from the show at all.
no,
I don't know if y'all noticed.
No,
I don't know if it was when Sammy Guevara came out. He said something, man, that I was like, oh my God, JR, save it for the podcast. I should have wrote it down. Do you guys didn't notice this? I always talk about this. He always says something that he should save for. He's like basically complaining about the show, but during the show.
Well, I mean, this is what happens. This is one of the drawbacks about not having those announcers being produced, even a little bit. It doesn't have to be, scripted and, completely, homogenized for the announcer, but you have to produce them some. Because if you give a guy like Jim Ross carte blanche and a guy he's been in the business for 40, 50 years, he sees something that he thinks is really stupid and you give him the green light to go ahead and do it, he's going to take the shot. Should he be doing it on the show? Absolutely not. That's not his place. But if you give him the carte blanche to do it, he's going to do it. And the thing is that I agreed with him. I just thought like, okay, there's a lot of things in this match. I mean, LAX does a great job. Santana and Ortiz, they're a good tag team. They really are. It's just a matter that I look at Santana and I see him as like, he seems to be, for me, the more believable of the two. And I think that what Ortiz does is that he does his things, but then he has his moments where he's trying to be entertaining and funny. And I'm like, dude, that's not what this tag team is. if you know the construction of your tag team is not based on that. You guys are positioned as, you know, street thugs from New York City. Street thugs from New York City are not clowns. You know, that's you know, understand that some of those elements can be integrated, but the way that he does it distracts from what the presentation of the team is. And, you know, there was one time where Kenny Omega's on the floor, or Matt Hardy's on the floor, I forget which one, and Ortiz is hamming up to the camera, and then he gets decked in the mouth. And I'm like, dude, like, stop hamming up to the camera. You're in a fight.
Stop being a clown.
You're in a fight. Like that, even it's pro wrestling, and, you know, you're in a fight. The camera's there as a voyeur. It's watching what you're doing, but when you're hamming up to the camera too much, it's like, and Santana doesn't do that. Ortiz is the only one that does that, and it distracts. That's the reason why so much of what he does, it's just like it. And he's a good wrestler. It's just a matter that you know, he tries too hard in that space. I know that you guys love Sammy Guevara when he came out, and you guys think he was the most entertaining part of the match. I actually think that he was the worst part of this match, because again, he comes out and he's obviously being a clown. He's goofily selling an injury, and I'm like, okay, so you're being a goof selling this injury, and I'm like, dude, he's one of the up and comers, and like I said before, AEW already has about half a dozen comedy wrestlers on their roster. Sammy Guevara can be funny. He can have his moments to be funny. This was not one of them. I think that it actually took away from the match a little bit, you know, and just being there, because I'm like, all right, come on, dude, like, seriously. You got to a point where I was like, if you're going to run in, or you're gonna you know, sell that you got a hurt neck or whatever because you got run over by a car last week or a golf cart last week, okay, that's fine. But what you're doing is that you're actually distracting attention from the match. You could easily have just gone out there and clearly helped, you know, Santana and Ortiz if that was your intent, and they didn't do it. You know, he didn't do that because the babyfaces still won.
Yeah.
And the thing that bothers me is that when you look at Santana and Ortiz as an established tag team that have been together as a team for probably a decade, and they lose to a team that, as Excalibur said, oh, this was a team that was just put together a week ago and they beat one of the top tag teams in AEW, I was like, that doesn't say much about Santana and Ortiz. With all due respect to Kenny Omega and Matt Hardy, they can be great individual talents, but when you put them together as a team, they probably shouldn't be beating Santana and Ortiz without those guys making some kind of critical mistake. And the thing was that I don't think that Sammy Guevara really unintentionally aided Matt Hardy and Kenny Omega to win this match. Because if he would have unintentionally helped them and he would have made a mistake that cost Santana and Ortiz, I'd be like, fine. But he didn't. So it basically looked like Omega and Hardy beat the Inner Circle 3 against 2. So I was like, okay, this means now that in order for the Inner Circle to beat these guys, it's got to be 5-on-2 like they did last week. So, you know, like I said, the match was not bad. It's just that they do a lot of silly, goofy things that just drive me nuts. Like I said, I did appreciate the fact that they actually did work a tag team match. I was very happy about that. Again, the simultaneous tags always drive me crazy, but that's tag team wrestling in general. That's nobody's fault. That's just the way the business is running. The match was not bad. It's just that they had those goofy moments that took it down. Just make me shake my head like, no. I certainly didn't think this match was as good as you guys did. And also for the referees, when you see that all 4 wrestlers are in the ring, either in the ring or on the floor, start counting, please.
I always find an issue with that, especially with the referees in AEW.
Everywhere.
They take forever to count. I mean, I do see it in WWE, but it's bothering me more every time I see it in AEW. It's like, hurry up and count. Stop looking around. That's
everywhere. That's not, like I said, that's not AEW specific. That's referees and pro wrestling in general, and it drives me crazy. As soon as you see that something starts looking goofy, you can give them one verbal warning, and once they stop doing that, you start counting.
Great. All right. Next match is the Son of Jesus versus and Hammenegger, being MJF versus who was the guy? It was Lee Johnson.
Lee Johnson.
Yeah. All right. As I expected this match to be short, a very decisive win. His promo was tremendous at the end. You know, I've always loved the up, put the pinky on. It's just like it. MJF is one cocky little shit, and it's great. It's great. I find it great. You know, I kind of feel that the Jungle Boy match kind of came out of nowhere with kind of like really no build to it, or at least I didn't see. So next week, I believe MJF is going one-on-one with the Hobbit, Marco Stunt. Now, you know, I guess to kind of build the match between him and Jungle Boy, I don't know. I think next week Marco Stunt is going to get run over. He is going to get one of the beatings of a lifetime in order to build the match between MJF and Jungle Boy. It's kind of like next week an 18-wheeler just driving over a baby carriage. It is going to be a massacre next week. But there's really nothing special about this match aside from MJF's squash and his promo. Just the way it was supposed to be. It was great.
Yeah, MJF, he went out there, he did his job.
Yeah.
Get the win. He needs wins. Keep racking up wins.
Yeah.
You know, until whatever story we're gonna tell with him, if he's gonna go after a world title, or if he's gonna deal with Cody at a later date. Because there's a lot of feuds that are ongoing that are gonna last years. Julio, the Jungle Boy thing. Well, you're gonna see AEW. Think about it like almost like if it was UFC. There doesn't need to be.
There doesn't need to be a build-up.
Yeah.
A build-up per se. Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Like, it just kind of came out of nowhere. So, So by them putting MJF against Marco Stunt, it's going to give, like, a little bit of a meaning to this match. Kind of like, I got to get revenge.
So, yes, even though the matches are out of nowhere, sometimes what they might do, especially for pay-per-views, is they're going to put it together like it's out of nowhere. But this has been teased. MJF and Jungle Boy were in a multi-man match. They gave us 2 minutes. And it was glorious for me. I was like, wow, this is going to be, in 5 years, this is going to be a nice main event feud, in my opinion. But like you said, next week, I really hope that Marco Stunt goes, guys, stay in the back.
I got this.
I got this. I'm going to try my hardest. I got this, so that MJF can really do some nasty things to Marco Stunt, and then
he's vicious. By the way,
yes, I want it. That's the thing. Marco Stunt's job is to take ass whippings and make them look really, really good. And I want MJF to really put a nice beating, just like you said, a nice beating that makes us feel bad, so that Jungle Boy, when he comes out, he's like, "Oh my, I'm gonna kill this man."
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that one, Julio.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, this match with MJF was exactly what it was supposed to be. Again, it was a squash match. The one thing that I will say, though, in defense of Lee Johnson is actually a good-looking kid, good-looking wrestler. If I were AEW, I would probably consider not featuring him as a jobber, and probably try to keep him off of TV for a little while, maybe repackage him, because he, unlike the other job guys, he's really athletic looking. He's got a good-looking physique, and just looking at his eyes, that there's something about him that seems like
he's actually in good shape.
There's a charisma about this guy that even though he's not given the time to do anything, I would try to start pulling him back from that enhancement role. Now regarding MJF is awesome. He does his job tremendously. The two spots that I thought in this match, one is when he slapped Lee Johnson. My goodness, that looked stiff. When he power bombed him on the apron, that was like borderline dangerous. Like it was
that elbow shot was vicious too, man, to start the match when he got him on his chest.
I was just like, I was like, hey, ease up there a little bit. That was like borderline dangerous. It wasn't. I didn't like the finish of the match, and what I mean by that is I love the neckbreaker move he did. I don't think that he needed to use a submission hold to win that match. You could have used a high impact move and just pin him. and he could have just put his pinky on him, do something that's a little more, that could be even a little more to character, because he's always with the pinky and all that stuff. He could have put the pinky on Lee Johnson and beat him that way. So I didn't think the submission move was needed for the win. Now, obviously, the promo that MJF cut, MJF is the man on the mic. Obviously with Marco Stunt, yes, I agree that it's supposed to be a squash match next week. The only one thing is that in this particular match, as much as I've argued about, Marco Stunt getting offense in on larger opponents, this is actually a match where I can see Marco Stunt getting some offense in the beginning of the match and maybe get one hope spot in, and then MJF squelches him. And when he squelches him, then he beats him down. And after the match, he's getting more heat and more heat and more heat, and it's going to force Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy to come out. So, like I said, it should be a squash match, but this is a match where I would be okay if Marco Stunt got some offense, only because although MJF, everybody's bigger than Marco Stunt, but MJF looks like, quote unquote, as a wrestler, small enough that I could see Marco Stunt, if MJF gets a little too cocky, makes a mistake, that Marco can get some offense on him.
Yeah, I think Marco will get
I would not be surprised, I
think Marco will get a hope spot and a quick
the beginning of the match, whatever.
2 or 3 hits, he'll get something in.
But that's about it. I'm okay with Marco getting that on MJF just because MJF is small enough that it could be registered and it'll be okay. Unlike other matches that Marco's had, which I thought was just absurd. But in this case,
now
I'm right with it.
Let me ask you guys an opinion. Now, because Wardlow's probably going to be out there, it doesn't make sense for Marco to send these guys to the back because they probably wouldn't. Let's assume that Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus are out there. What would you do so that MJF has a moment to be really, really nasty and get time? Let's say if it's after the match, or let's say, whatever, the ref's not looking or whatever. How does MJF sneak in the nasty, nasty heat on Marco with these guys out there? What do you do?
Julio, you want to take this first? I think the way that the match, first of all, I think the match works better the fewer guys are out there. So meaning, it would even be something to where if Marco Stunt were to come out first and he wants to, buck up and be like, I want to do this on my own, MJF could just be like, oh yeah, and then he'll shoo Wardlow away.
That'd be nice. I'd like to see that.
Because the thing about it is that if you have all 5 guys out there, can MJF do it? The answer is yes. The way that you do it is obviously he's so much bigger than Marco that even if Marco starts the match off fast and he's evading MJF, at some point, it's like Jesse Ventura used to say, you can run but you can't hide. Eventually, you got to come to me. You know what I'm saying? And once Marco Stunt has to get close to MJF can grab him and just start beating the pants out of him. It becomes a matter that he could be able to throw Marco out to the floor and he could try to get some offense. And of course, Luchasaurus already proved this week, unfortunately, that he's a punk. I'm not taking him seriously until he actually, for a guy who's 6'4" and 230 pounds, he's just whatever. It's
6'5", 265, 270 around there, actually.
Whatever. He just looked like a giant punk this week by not defending Marco Stunt. But the thing is that MJF could take Marco to the floor, start throwing him around. And of course, the baby faces are not going to interfere because they don't want to cost Marco the match. And then what ends up happening is that if you have the 3 guys on the floor, then it's gonna become a mishmash and it's gonna be a schmaz towards the end of the match, which I think is actually going to take away from the effect of the match. The match has to be is that Marco gets beaten down. I wouldn't even be upset if Marco got some color in this match, like, really just get beat up to where MJF is looking out like I'm better than you, and he just, really, really gives it to him. But if you have all the guys on the floor, then it's going to be a matter that, MJF will make a mistake, Marco will get a hope spot, then Wardlow's going to want to get involved. I don't know why. And then, he'll get pulled down by Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus will jab him. Then they get into a fight. Jungle Boy tries to come help Luchasaurus. Then MJF takes him, throws him against the post. Then Marco wants to go get a high spot. MJF moves out the way. Marco just splats and he's done. Wardlow gets the upper hand on Luchasaurus, and then MJF throws him in the ring and just starts beating the piss out of him. And then he beats him, and then he can get all the heat and get all the intense heat after the bell. And Wardlow's in there, and then Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy fight their way back in, and then they run him off.
That makes sense. Next match, another squash. Le Champion versus Jesus Christ. Pineapple Pete. Okay. Nothing. I don't know. I guess nothing special about this match. A typical squash, no pun intended, to Pineapple. I guess it's just like I'm reading here something about weeks of payoff. So Jericho kind of got his revenge on him and kind of settled it down quick. I really did like the promo at the end. With all the guys coming out. One of the things I didn't like was the fact that Ortiz and Santana kind of did not sell any type of injuries after their big tag team match or earlier in the night. You guys gonna have to help me. Isn't this like kind of like a Vanguard thing that they're doing right now? That they do like a little droid coming down, just playing mind games with the inner circle and all this BS.
Yeah, that's Matt Hardy's gimmick. He has Vanguard 1. That's his little.
Okay, yeah.
That's his friend.
Okay, all right, cool.
He's been with him for a long time,
end, brother. His friend till the end, Vanguard.
His friend till the end.
It was definitely the end.
All right, so exactly. After he beat the shit out of that crap, I can see why he had the bat in his hand. That was all good coming. Anyway, the stadium match looks like it's going to be a fun, exciting, and creative match that AEW is going to pull. I'm really looking forward to this match for Double or Nothing, and it's just gonna be a train wreck of hell. And it's gonna be a very good match.
Yeah, I think that stadium thing is gonna be similar to the Money in the Bank. It's one of these,
Hopefully it's better.
Well, I was entertained by the Money in the Bank, like I said before.
No, I was.
But
too,
yeah,
but
I just hope the comedy.
It was a cluster.
The comedy needs to hit. I don't like bad comedy. That's all.
Yeah.
Anyway, the good thing about a guy like Matt Hardy and a lot of guys who been wrestling for 30 years, Vanguard 1. This is an inanimate object. He sells it with his face, just like Edge sells with his face, just like Orton. Matt Hardy and his veteran self. This is ridiculous, right? You destroyed. I'd be pissed though, because even if it's just that should probably cost $500. So I would be sad, and you could see that sadness. I love that the way he sold that in his face. For real, Matt Hardy.
Look, it was great. It was great. Yeah.
If you're gonna do things like that type of character, just like Jericho, he's doing when he does silly things, he's committed to that silly thing, right? It's not a joke. It's a joke, but it's not a joke. He's doing it like if he really means what he's saying.
It's just coming off funny.
It's funny.
It's just coming off funny.
Yeah, it's not meant to make him laugh, right? He's not trying to be funny. His character's not trying to be funny. Sure, obviously, it is. But if you deliver it with a straight face, right? If you don't wink at the crowd,
it's more believable. It's more believable.
That's what makes it funny, right?
Yeah.
To me,
I agree.
Yeah, I mean I don't really have anything else. I mean, it was a typical squash match. This was Pineapple Pete. His real name is not Pineapple Pete. So
really? Oh,
D.
His body looks like a pineapple.
Yeah. So when Jericho was on commentary, he was wearing a pineapple shirt in the crowd, Pineapple Pete. And Jericho just made up the name. And this guy's like, what the fuck? That's not my name. Why are you calling me this? And every week Jericho's bashing him.
Yeah. And then he did kind of like a Shorty G. I'm going to embrace it.
Exactly, because it kind of got over, just like everything Jericho touches. And what I was telling Lou before we started recording, Pineapple Pete, the shirt that Jericho was wearing was a Pineapple Pete shirt. Now he did it to shit on Pineapple Pete, his character. But you know Jericho. Jericho did it. Let me help this kid have a nice, sell of this shirt.
Even though it's gonna be a squash, but I'm gonna help him. I'm gonna make him
It's
look
in
good
the
in the
top
process.
selling shirts of the week. That shirt. It's one of the top selling shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Hey, Pineapple Pete can do it, Lou. You could too, and
That's right, Lou, baby.
Listen,
right, Lou.
I will say that, you know, if any one thing, when Jericho wore the shirt, it was a cool looking shirt. I'll give him that much. The match was whatever. I look and it was like Chris Jericho's the most benevolent wrestler in the world. You know, the fact that he even stepped in the ring with this guy, and Pineapple Pete got, you know, whatever it was, 30 seconds of offense, and then Jericho just hit him with the Judas effect. Boom, 1, 2, 3. I was like, thank God this was, you know, it was whatever. You know, the promo that Jericho cut, again, not one of his better ones. I get it. You know, when Julio was asking, like, you know, he was upset that Santana and Ortiz didn't sell their injuries from the match. Here's what needed to happen. Santana and Ortiz didn't need to be out there. They just wrestled 20 minutes earlier. They should be in the back. They should be selling injuries. They shouldn't be out there. Sammy Guevara, probably, if he was involved in that match, shouldn't be out there.
It was like the same purpose. Yeah, you know. But they should have stayed better.
It would have been just fine had Jericho come out with Hager, because Hager could be his muscle, and then he can kind of, then Jericho could do like that tongue-in-cheek thing where he's like, you know, yeah, I'm wrestling an enhancement talent, but I need my muscle with me, you know, whatever, that kind of thing. But you know, when he cuts his promo and he's talking about the stadium, you know, that stadium stampede 10-man tag, you know, of course I understand that they can't do the steel cage war games match, but this match is like, I'm really not looking forward to it. I know that it's not going to be a wrestling match. I get it. It's not going to be a wrestling match by any stretch. And you know, if it's like Money in the Bank, I'm like, listen, with all due respect, I get that you know, times are different, and wrestling is just trying to provide entertainment any way they can. It's just a matter that I've already seen enough of these guys, and unfortunately, I don't really take any of them too seriously, because again, they're portrayed as main event talents, but they do a lot of that goofy, you know, they do a lot of that goofy comedy stuff that just kind of takes me away from it. You know, to see Vanguard 1 come down, you know, I did like the fact that Vanguard 1 came down with the shirt that Jericho presented him when he was trying to get him to be part of the Inner Circle, which was just stupid, but good continuity.
It worked. It was stupid, but it worked.
But the fact that Vanguard 1, that Jericho actually seriously looked at an inanimate object, a droid, and asked him, do you accept our challenge? And then the damn thing accepted on behalf of the Elite, which is supposed to be like the top babyface act in AEW, was just like the stupidest thing I'd ever seen. It was just absurd. And then he's talking about, well, Jericho's like, no, well, now the sixth member of the Elite is another inanimate object, a baseball bat named Floyd. And then he goes and proceeds to beat the crap out of it. And then the entire Inner Circle proceeds to reenact the scene from Office Space when they broke the printer, and now each one of them. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, seriously, you guys are the top heel act in the company, and you just basically are doing the same goofy comedy garbage. And I was like, oh, get out of here. It's like I was done. You know, it's just like, what the hell? Like, seriously, give me something else. You know, and then when Matt Hardy came out and he sold it, again, Jim Ross was, God bless you, Jim Ross, when he was just like, oh, men and their inanimate objects. That's like JR on commentary rolling his eyes watching this. He's just literally, JR's rolling his eyes on commentary watching this absolute nonsense that they presented. You know, whatever. It was awful.
All right, fellas. So the main event is the veteran Christopher Daniels against Brody Lee. Whatever. Brody Lee wins this one. It was about a 15-20 minute contest. The only good thing coming out of this match was the fact that Christopher Daniels was kept strong. He really put in a good match, but it was a decisive win. against Brody Lee because obviously he's going in for the world title. I'm going to make this short, and I'm going to ask you guys for your opinion. Why is Brody Lee in the main event right now? I just don't understand. The guy was a low-level, low-card guy in WWE, and he comes in here. He's doing this, kind of like this Darth Vader / Vince McMahon ripoff. Right now, I'm not a fan of the Dark Order. I just hope that Moxley can like destroy this and this now. I'm not a fan of this right now, but yeah. I'm kind of not happy. Kind of like what they're doing with Brody Lee right now. I just feel like he's not doing a good job in this role. Thick.
Oh, I 100% disagree. I think this is the best Brody Lee has ever looked in his entire career. This is the best work on the mic we've ever seen him do.
I do give him quick credit on that one. Yeah, he is doing good on the mic.
I bet y'all didn't even know he knew how to speak English.
He did? He didn't?
No, I'm saying I bet you guys didn't even know he knew how to speak.
I thought he was a mute.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and yes, it is very early for him to be getting a title shot, but he's not going to win the title. He's just getting the shot, and he didn't earn the title shot. And that story is being told. He's pulling Moxley's card. He's like, I know who you are.
Well, Moxley did a hell of a promo at the end of this, by the way.
Well, Moxley is a little bit of a loose cannon, his character. And if you pull his card, he's going to accept your challenge. This is no different than in MMA when a guy wins a fight. He's not even in the top 5, but he goes, hey, whatever, Conor McGregor, I'm calling you out. You're scared of me, whatever. Sometimes you can challenge the champion, and it's up to the champion to say yes or no. And if you're smart, and Brody Lee's character, he's not like whatever he was before. This character is a smart guy. He's a really smart guy. He's the leader of our organization, and he's almost like a mob boss type, So he has a plan. His plan was to pull Moxley's card, basically steal his belt, go, you want it back? You got to fight me for it. And that's it. I'm okay with him getting the title shot. Not everyone needs this build, whatever, or he doesn't have to be ranked number 1 just to get the title shot. In my opinion, as long as you tell the story, they're telling the story. I think the match is going to be killer. It's going to be Brody Lee's probably best match since the Wyatts against the Shield. And, that's my prediction on that.
See, for me, this particular match with Chris Daniels and Brody Lee, unfortunately, I don't think that it accomplished its goal. Julio said that, hey, at least Chris Daniels was kept strong. With all due respect, Christopher Daniels is not, he could be revered, amongst the fans who watch AEW, but in the environment that he's in right now, I think he got way too much in on the match, got too much offense in on Brody Lee. Again, Brody Lee.
But that was my point. Like it was like he could have easily just beat this guy in 7 minutes.
That's the thing. The match lasted too long, and he shouldn't have gotten as much stuff in. Now the thing with Moxley, listen, I thought the whole thing with Moxley was just, again, Moxley gives killer promos, but I thought it was just so dumb. I was like, first of all, he comes out through the crowd. I'm like, dude, you could just come out through the entranceway because you wanted to get your hands on Brody Lee. He didn't do it when Brody Lee came out in the beginning of the match. When the match was over, literally, Brody Lee throws a Dark Order guy and literally Moxley beats them up in a matter of like a minute. He beats them all up. Then literally Brody Lee and the guy 10 walk out. You'd figure that if they stole your personal property and you want it back, you're chasing after them. Why are you going to grab a mic and cut a promo and tell them what you're going to do at the pay-per-view? No, you run out after them, and you know what you do? You have a camera there too, and then you see Brody Lee and 10 getting in the limo or whatever car they're in, and they zoom out. And then Moxley can cut a promo outside. That's the reason why I thought that was silly. Again, I understand the effect they're trying to play, but it didn't work. At least not for me. There are too many holes in that particular segment to make it look strong for me. Hopefully the match is good at the pay-per-view, but I'm not convinced because again, when you start at the top, there's only one place for you to go, and that's down.